little bit of light, trying to find my heart. Funny when I break out a lifestyle dark. Honey when I write, get a tight flow spark. What a psycho chart, playing dice, go start. Oh, who are you? Better know yourself, know your soul, gotta know your wealth. Slow your roll, get a hold, don't melt, and don't you fall when I feel like hell. Well, who am I? Am I me? I'm not the one you wanna fuck with. Late nights messing up my sleep, so I'm flustered. Taking out aggression with my pen because I trust it. Writing, trying to get myself a lamb color cuss for the game. Leave him hanging by his chain, click bang. Feeling rage, feeling fire in my brain, feeling sane. And it's story, feel the flame. 45 to my brain, playing more and please hell. No glory. Taking out aggression with my pen because I trust it. Fighting, trying to get myself a lamb color custard.
Remember, I used to be that kid that every day would get rejected. Y'all got my story, the glory was painted on the song. I'm mortified but feel immortal. This pen to this paper always open up different portals. It's I and me, it's me and I'm by myself. I'm down the ride, I'm taking on the tide. Size of tsunamis touching the sky. I got a quick scan, it's time to move. Leaving everything else behind, I got something to prove. I'm just riding away, no I ain't running away. I got memories set, oh I'm just finding my place where I belong to. Feeling glory in my soul. Hey, I'm riding away, I'm finding my place. Yeah, I gotta escape, yeah, that's what I gotta do. See you on the other side, see you on the other side, see you on the other side. We all know.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a bad chick. All the boys stare, can't help it, it's a habit. Clothes that she wears, short skirt and a jacket. I just wanna get her all alone on a mattress. I just wanna have it, I just gotta have it. Rumors all around say her body is fantastic. All natural, not a piece of fur is plastic. Head to her toes, yeah, they say that she's a latch. Yeah, the whispers all around say she has a reputation. Don't believe it till I see it, so I want a demonstration. And I've always learned it better with a hands-on education. So I need a private session if you get what I am saying. And they say that she's not easy, no, she's really complicated. But that only makes it better, and it's got me so fixated. And I'm not the type to wait around, I've never hesitated. But she's got me captivated, so the game, I'm gonna play it, yeah. She's got a body like a coke thing. She likes to keep the party going. These rumors got me feeling lonely. I want that body, baby, show me. She's got a body like a coke thing. She likes to to get away. I heard you like to stay out late. I heard you had a couple boyfriends. I heard they didn't treat you right. I heard you're hated by your girlfriends, 'cause all the guys want you tonight. Yeah, they say she's too hot, they say she's too cold. Where she came from, nobody really knows. They say she looks young, but say she acts old. From everything I've heard, she gets out of control. And all the boys say she was sent from the heavens, but I'm not too sure that this girl is a blessing. She's got the devil's eyes and they'll cut you like a weapon. She's stuck in my mind like a bad obsession. Got bad intentions. She's got a body like a coffin. She likes to keep the party going. These rumors got me feeling lonely. I want that body, baby, show me. She's got a body like a coffin. She likes to keep the party going. These rumors got me feeling lonely. I want that body, baby, show me.
I ain't feeling lonely, and I wanna admit it's time to end the ride. Fading it too slowly, were those gonna lift me up this time? You were the only one who got me tripping up inside. All the words you told me, am I reading something different from your eyes? See you for a moment, even hope that I can feel you. I see you, all that I wanted was to tell you that I need you. I see you for a moment, even hope that I can feel you. I see you, all that I wanted was to tell you that I need you. Now I'm finally right here with you. Now I'm finally right here with you. The voice is getting nearer. Heart is pumping, thoughts are running wild. We got a good thing going. Why we gotta feel
What up?
That's good.
Stream is live.
Okay.
you look at me, I'm soaring. Seeing all the truth behind your eyes. See you for a moment, even hope that I can feel you.
Oh man, fixing this issue is going to be a pain in the ass.
I muted the stream for. Wait, I muted.
Add you to this?
Yeah.
Welcome back. We're about to
Okay.
start in a bit. We're just having an issue with the other casters.
Yeah,
connection.
I was just checking to make sure it wasn't like something with specific to this server. It's not.
I think we gotta add Karma in.
Dude, I hate my life right now.
Happens sometimes, man. We're almost ready to go. We have all the players in the lobby. We got some fans in the chat. Alright, we're gonna add them. I guess Nurse's left us, so I think we're gonna...
I'm still in here. What?
Oh. Well, let's go over the matchup then while we wait. I know you've made a list of all the teams.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to get used to like trying to remember who's who again because there's a lot of new names here. And is TSM Batman actually their jungler? Because that wasn't what it was on the website.
I think he is subbing in for them. I'm not sure if it's resulted in a penalty against them or not.
I guess he
but
is an
he
emergency
will be
sub.
playing.
Okay.
So I guess that's one player to watch for. He won last year. Another player I'd say is Snowflake Gecko. She's been #1 in the mid voting 2 seasons in a row.
Yeah, Snowflake Gecko. I casted a couple of her games last season, and I remember one Lux game that she played in particular where she basically just solo carried her entire team.
I haven't personally seen it, but I haven't played with her very often. But from what I hear, do not give her Lux at all. Ever.
Absolutely not. I think it should be pretty obvious to ban it. I mean,
Yeah,
when someone just
similar with Batman and
his
his
comfort
Zac.
pick. Yeah, Zach's
You do
gonna
not
be
want to
thrown
let
in.
him. It is kind of hard, I will say, because I played with him last year. It's hard to ban out Batman, so...
Yeah, I mean, you can't really ban him out, but there are definitely champions that are just too strong in the meta that he plays right now that you need to get rid of. Zach is one of them.
Then I see a lot of new faces that I really haven't seen before, so I'm interested to see how they play.
That will be another interesting part of the new season now, because I wasn't even here for the entirety of last season, but it got to the point where I was casting a lot of the same teams over and over. Generally because, you know, the teams that were pretty consistently here and ready and on time all the time were generally at the top of the standings, and I think that was what we did. Is that a lot of the times it was just like the streamed games were the top, like, or the higher tier teams.
No, I agree with you. It's because of the formatting they used. So they would try to pin the top teams against each other every week, and so it just kind of got repetitive.
Very well acquainted with people like Batman, though. Okay. Oh boy, they have a sub in the mid lane too on the side of Blood Moon Esports. And a support sub. I believe this is actually like, what, 3 emergency subs?
I don't know, man.
Apparently they're free agents. But
Oh,
like,
if they came from the free agent pool, then they don't count as emergency subs.
Okay.
Anyone who's not on the free agent list counts against you.
well, None of these three players, Sir Simplify, TSM Batman, or Dragon, were on their sub list.
Not necessarily the sub list. I'm talking like the actual league free agent page.
Yeah, I understand, but I didn't even know that was how it worked. I just thought if you had some random person come in that wasn't on your sub list, even if they were a free agent, it was considered not an emergency sub.
It probably will be in like following weeks, but maybe just because it's the first week before the first official game type thing.
Yeah, so
It's
I
basically
have no information on these guys now. Only TSM Batman and the other main roster players for Blood Moon Esports.
Yeah, like I said, beyond the like core, I'd say 3 or 4 people that I recognize. It's kind of similar to them. I know that Flame has been their top laner for a while.
I think on Fifth Spectrum, Ready to Penguin might be the only person that wasn't in the league last season, and that person might even have gotten a name change. Maybe they were. But I know the other 4 were definitely in RPL last season.
Yeah, they might, I mean, if they're in LCS order, they might have switched roles, because I know Flame was playing a lot of top.
So, coming right out, we see the Ari being banned against Snowflake Gecko. I'd say that, yeah, this is what I expected. They're just going to ban Lux and Ari. Those are the 2 big comfort picks for Snowflake Gecko. And then Sojawani being very consistently banned out against TSM Batman. That's not really surprising. I think Manny 3574's main champion, at least in terms of ranked stats, is Vayne, but I don't think he's been playing much of it recently.
Right. Still, it could be something he defaults to as a comfort pick. First game of the season, don't really know what you're up against.
So we see a Shin ban come out against Silky, and that one I definitely agree with, because Silky is known for being just a player who almost exclusively plays Gnar and Shin. So I think that if it doesn't get banned out in the second phase, because they didn't pick their top laner out, okay, yeah, I would definitely say Fifth Spectrum's very likely going to pick Gnar here, especially against Malphite. Yeah,
Ooh,
definitely.
there it is, instantly.
That's his main champion by quite a bit.
I'm interested to see what comes out for Batman here, if they do pick his champion in the next rotation.
I also think it's kind of interesting to see Malphite come out. I don't believe we saw very much of that champion last split, but I don't believe Squeeze Hose is a particularly experienced top lane, at least not from when I was doing some research, and that was one of the only top lane champions that I saw him play. So you're Ready to Penguin. I'd say that they will probably pick their jungler here. You don't really want to, blind pick your mid laner, certainly, and there's really not a lot of priority bot lane picks that are going so far. Or they'll just go ahead and pick Thresh then. Okay, well, I mean, you can't really argue with that. Their support is, I believe, a substitute, and maybe you just want to grab them. They're maybe the only support that they feel comfortable on.
Thresh is usually just a very good support in lane. You can also do a lot of things in late game team fights, great peel, so it's never a bad pick. It's kind of never out of the meta unless they nerf it into the ground.
Yeah, he's pretty much just a jack of all trades, and now we will see TSM Batman pick up Galio and Sir Simplify, possibly going towards Zed. Yeah, it will be the blind pick Zed. That is quite ballsy, and we will be seeing a Galio in the jungle, I believe. That is something that TSM Batman played quite frequently last season. We'll be seeing
By the way, the answer to your question, Malphite saw 13 games last season with a 0.15 win rate.
That's actually 13 is quite a bit more than I thought he would have been played, but now we see Snowflake Gecko going for the Orianna, and so this matchup is kind of weird. It's not like most people would think Orianna just automatically loses this lane, but I'd say it's definitely more of a skill matchup. Neither champion really has that big of an innate advantage, and it'll be all down to who plays it better.
Yeah, it's also like when I saw the 2 bans come out, that's what I thought Snowflake would default to. She was very good on that champion.
Orianna was, I believe, the most highly contested mid laner in last split, and she is still just as strong, so I doubt it will have any change this split. Galio was arguably the best champion in terms of his stats last split. I mean, his stats were absolutely incredible. It took him, I believe, like 14 games to even lose one.
He had an 87.5% win rate over 16 games near the end of the season, like predominantly at the end. Yeah.
honestly kind of surprised that he even made it as far as he did into the pick and ban phase, and he didn't even make it that far. I mean, generally he was just either banned or first picked
And
every
Oriana
single
had
game.
a 53.49 win rate at over 43 games, so a
Yeah,
lot of
very,
games.
very popular champion. I think the only one more popular may have been Caitlyn. So now we see the Twitch Varus and Mumu and Caitlyn bans coming out now. I'd say that I do agree with the Twitch Varus bans because, you know, it's obviously they can only pick their bottom lane now, and you just kind of want to narrow the pool down. Maybe ban champions that would otherwise do pretty well against the bottom lane you plan on picking, and now they are going for the Thresh Ashe, which is it's kind of like a solid, very strong bottom lane. There's really no big gimmick to it. It's just two very standard and typically very solid champions in Thresh and Ashe.
Yeah, layer your CC and get a kill.
See Fifth Spectrum just going for a super standard and solid team composition here with lots of, you know, big power picks in the current meta. And BME going for a little bit of wacky stuff with Galio jungle, Zed mid, and Malphite top, as well as picking up Sivir, which I think in this situation does work a bit better because Spell Shield is just too strong against Thresh and Ashe.
Yeah, with the Janna, Sever should be able to passively farm the lane. If you're ever engaged on, you should have enough peel. If you ever are going to get hit by the spell, you can just E on Sever and get out of a lot of situations that would pretty much end up in your death.
Yeah, one thing that I would definitely have to worry about for Blood Moon Esports is a significant lack of damage in the later stages of the game. And the damage that they will have is pretty much exclusively physical damage in Zed and Sivir. I mean, Galio and Malphite, unless you want to go some weird AP Malphite build, they're really not going to be doing that much damage.
Yeah, you're going to be fully reliant on basically layering CC with damage. It's going to be a lot to do with how many of those crits Sivir can get off in the late game fight, whereas the other team, they've got a lot of damage, like coming from a lot of places.
I mean, I would go so far as to say that if Sir Semper Fi doesn't get ahead and start snowballing the lead and roaming around the map, then it's going to be incredibly hard for BME to actually win this game. I mean, if this game goes past 35 minutes, I don't even really see how they would.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it would be nice if Zed could get a split push going, and if he was at a point where he was stronger than everyone else, it would be very hard to kind of counteract that play.
And I also really have to question the Janna pick. It doesn't really seem to go particularly well with the rest of the team composition, which is primarily like, you know, dive oriented with Malphite, Galio, Zed, and Sivir. I mean, and then you just have a Janna who is the exact opposite of all of this. I mean, maybe that's the point, that they have all this engage, and maybe they want some kind of a champion to provide them a way out if they take a bad engagement. But I don't know. I kind of question it, and I really don't think that it goes particularly well with Sivir either.
I mean, it's not the end of the world, but like, I mean, if you think about it, if they get hit, for example, with a 3-person or 4-man Oriana ult late game, possibly Janna ult can get them disengaged and back up to full health. Throw in a redemption, maybe you can turn it. Like,
maybe
but
her
I just
entire
think
job.
there's so many things better than it. I think is kind of what you're hinting at.
Yeah, I think that several champions. I mean, even Braum probably would have been better here. Maybe you could have even picked Zyra. Zyra is very good into Thresh, as well as providing your team with an actual stable source of magic damage throughout the game. Even though Zyra would have been in the support, I mean, it's basically like having a second mid laner.
Yeah, that's a definite good point too. I mean, unless Malphite's gonna build full AP, they're gonna be very easy to. Sorry, it's gonna be easy to itemize for their opponents, and whereas the other team, if you look at their damage, it's kind of a little bit better. I mean, at least late game, Oriana does pump out a massive amount of damage.
Yeah, I don't think that TSM Batman or Squeeze Hose could probably afford to go full AP on either one of their champions. They're just too oriented around going in without much of a way to get out. Neither one of the champions, Galio or Malphite, I mean, maybe if by some miracle you get fed early on AP Malphite, maybe you can actually just blow someone up completely 100-0, but if you can't do that, then he's just going to get murdered like the moment that they get out of the CC.
Yeah, if you can get going on Malphite, like I've actually seen a few people play it in my solo queue games. I've seen them get up to like 7, 8, 9, and 0. just by pressing R and stomping people from 100 to 0. But then if you get to a certain point in the game and haven't won, it kind of falls off a cliff.
Yeah, and if you don't get that early lead on AP Malphite and you continue to build AP, then you're going to be completely and utterly useless.
Yeah. The funniest guy I saw who like our team was just kind of feeding left and right. He built full AP, he was just smashing everyone into the ground, and he got so much gold over the course of the game, he fully re-itemized to win the game.
Oh boy. But
It
one
was
thing
like
that I
a
haven't
50
really
minute
noted
game.
on yet is Fifth Spectrum had a very, very strong draft here. I like all of the champions on their team. I like the way that it fits together. I mean, I wasn't expecting this, man. There is not a single misplaced champion on that team composition. I really like it.
Yeah, now the one thing I can say is if you're able to pick off that Orianna or Ashe, it can start to fall apart a bit.
Well,
I think it just like
Gnar is a
igniting.
tank that does kind of an uncharacteristically large amount of damage for a tank.
Yeah, but I mean the downside with Gnar, in my opinion, is he just has very predictable windows where you know he's going to go aggressive, and if you can avoid those times and make plays at times when he's not Mega Gnar, it's very easy to work around it.
Yeah, but the way that a lot of Gnar players get around that is by being very sneaky and finding these cheeky little flanks to pull off on people. And Silky is probably one of, if not the most experienced Gnar player in this tournament. And I say that if anyone could do it, I'd put my money on him being able to do that. And there's also the problem for BME that Gnar is very, very, very good at 1v1ing champions like Malphite in a split push.
Right.
I don't really think that there's any way that Malphite will be able to handle a Gnar unless TSM Batman puts him absurdly far behind in the early game, and even then after a while, Silky would be able to just start 1v1ing Malphite again.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the draft combinations, though, like Sivir Janna, that tells me we want nothing to do with fighting. We're trying to play far back passive and just farm up. Zed might be a little aggressive. Top lane looks like it could be very tilty as well, like you're saying. And so I'm thinking the junglers are going to predominantly focus top side and mid.
Yeah, I mean, for both teams, it's going to be incredibly hard to gank bottom. On the side of Fifth Spectrum, ganking Sivir Janna is just probably going to be a fruitless pursuit.
Yeah, and then even, I mean, Ashe
yeah,
and Thresh, like that's not
ganking
fun to gank
for
either.
Sivir Janna is also not going to be very good because they don't really provide you with a whole lot to do anything with.
Yeah. And there's just so much outplay potential with Thresh. Like you go for a risky play, all of a sudden you get hooked in a turret range, boom, first blood. Like,
Yeah,
I've
but
seen it
I mean,
enough times.
I suppose that for both sides, if one bottom lane is just really far overextended, then it really won't matter what the compositions are in the bottom lane. But
Yeah.
I don't expect that to happen too often.
Another thing I'm interested to see is just like how the teamwork is
Yeah,
for
there's some
both of the
pretty neat
teams. I know
teams.
FS is going to be pretty solid. They've played together for quite a long time.
BME is the big question mark here, though. They do have TSM Batman,
Right, yeah, I mean,
who is
how
one
many
of the
subs do
reigning
they have?
champions. TSM Batman is not only the reigning champion from last split, he also made it to the finals, even though he did lose in the split before that.
Yeah, I can tell you from experience, he's pretty good. I'm pretty sure he was like MVP of something as well, wasn't he? Or just like, I mean, he was MVP of jungle, I
I would
think.
say
Yeah.
personally that I think TSM Batman was like pretty clearly the best jungler last split. Now,
And
I
then it pans
believe, yeah,
the
they will
rest
be
of it
starting
from
the
last
same here,
split.
so this is going to be mirrored. So we're not going to be seeing anyone start on their Raptors yet. It's a little bit odd to me. I think Galio could probably do it pretty easily. Have Zed throw a shuriken over the wall, but I suppose he just wants to start red and probably just go 3 buff and start gank top lane, which he's definitely going to need to do. Because Gnar will put a beating on Malphite in the 1v1. So probably the lane that will be drawing us the most attention, at least without the presence of the jungler, is going to be mid lane. Expect there to be quite a bit of fighting post 6.
Yeah,
Prior
Snowflake
to
has been high in this
both
stack,
of them
so-
hitting level 6, yeah, Oriana will have quite a significant poke advantage. But after that, if she has not managed to gain too much of a lead, then Zed can definitely come back if she misplays.
Yeah, but what I was saying was, I was looking at the stats earlier today, and I mean, I've even played in the same league and could tell you it's the same. She always has very high damage numbers per minute, and so she likes to trade and likes to get into skirmishes, and I think that could really pay off early against the Zed.
Oh boy, okay, so going back to the bottom lane here, we saw Hosier and Flam82 just pushing in the lane really quickly and taking advantage of the level 2 spike before BME's bottom lane, pushing it in, and they forced Janna's flash, but now it appears as though Hosier's taking a lot of damage from Manny's Sivir. But, you know, I definitely do agree with Snowflake Gecko being definitely one of, if not the best mid laner in the tournament last split. I think that one's a little bit more debatable than Jungle, seeing as there were quite a number of strong mid laners, including, you know,
No, for sure. I would say
the
there was
person
at
in the
least
lobby
five.
with me right now.
Well, I was okay. I mean, even like taking myself out of the equation, I could probably name like 4 or 5 names that are really, really solid mid laners from last season. I'd say jungle, like the pool was maybe like 2 or 3 deep, so I guess your argument
I
would be
mean,
right.
definitely TSM Batman, and then I believe Panther. And I'd struggle to
Yeah,
remember
that's one
who
of the
else.
2 I was thinking, and then I'm forgetting one of the names, but I know there was another jungler
Actually,
that
we're
was
seeing
like
Manny get hooked
very
in, and
strong.
we see the bottom lane begin to fight yet again. Dragon does not have flash on Janna. Now we see Lee Sin coming up top to gank, or counter gank.
Batman's caught.
Batman. TSM Batman will go down and get first blood and double buffs over to Silky's Gnar. So this is definitely not looking too good for BME, especially not Squeeze Hose on Malphite against a double buff Gnar at level 4.
Yeah, that's not an ideal start, to say the least.
Or the good old the bait and switch with the thresh hook, make it look like you're going to hit the Sivir, but you know, totally on purpose missed the hook to not give her the mana back. Completely on purpose.
You know, it worked out though. Look, out of mana.
Yeah, it was
play.
clearly on purpose that he missed the hook. You know, I mean, that's just all planned. Coming
It's
from
kind of
fresh
funny
water.
that it was one of those situations where it's probably better that he did miss, like you're saying.
If only Spell Shield actually cost mana to use, then it would be really, really punishing. So he does end up giving her some mana back there, though. We do see Sir Simplify actually getting the better of these early trades against Snowflake Echo's Oriana, which is not really what you would expect.
At least, I mean, maybe not better, but at least even.
Well,
And considering the
he's
energy
getting better than
costs
trades,
versus
but in the
the
CS he's
mana
getting
costs,
just destroyed.
for sure.
There we go. Okay, he didn't actually bait the spell shield out this time, so the mind games going back and forth between Flam82 and Manny here. Is he possibly ready to ping one trying to gank Sir Simplify's Zed?
Lee Sin's still looking mid with the red buff.
Well, it appears as though Silky has managed to get quite a nice freeze off in the top lane and will probably begin to deny Squeeze Hose quite a bit of CS.
Yeah, this is, I mean, must know that the jungler is around is giving up a lot of CS mid, 43 to 22 right now, so just falling further and further and further behind rapidly. Pretty much being zoned off the complete wave.
This is this is kind of weird. So it looks like TSM Batman was just kind of daring them to come in for a moment there, but Sir Simplify getting away. It appears as though TSM Batman read that gank quite well and was there already to counter gank, ready to ping one.
It was a really nice flash too, flashing towards the direction
Oh
of your
boy, so
jungler.
Manny does not hit the spell shield on time now and doesn't end up getting anything with it, and it looks like Hosier will have to heal first. Manny flashes away after healing.
TP?
We do see a canceled teleport from Silky, actually. So now we have the exhaust and heal down for both bottom lanes, but for the side of Fifth Spectrum, both of their flashes are still up, so this is definitely an advantage for them. And you could definitely see Manny 3574 get punished pretty hard the moment that Fifth Spectrum's bottom lane hits level 6 and they get access to the Ash Arrow. Without him having flash, if he does not hit Spell Shield properly, then he will be going down pretty handily. What could make that even more difficult is you could just throw a Thresh Hook at him and throw the Ash Arrow at the exact same time, and you're only going to be able to block one of them. Actually do see Silky broke the freeze. That or Squeeze Hose managed to do it. We weren't really able to see up there during that period of time, but now Squeeze Hose is actually being able to get quite a bit of CS and even this back up, despite, you know, TSM Batman unfortunately dying and giving over the double buffs early on. You have to commend his ability to stay even in CS in this bad lane matchup.
For sure. Really, really strong play. I mean, the bottom lane is fairly even too. If they can fix the CS discrepancy in the mid lane, whether by catching up or getting a few kills, then it could really, I don't know, it could really come back to help them, I guess. The worst thing to do would be having an Orianna that's 75 CS up. It just does way too much damage.
Certainly. And Orianna is undoubtedly going to very heavily outskill Zed going into the latest stages of the game, because any champion that gets countered by the building of a Zanyas or any tank items at all basically is not going to be too good going into the late game, such as Zed.
Yeah, plus you're gonna have
now we actually do see a 3v2 engagement in the mid lane against Semper Fi and TSM Batman from 3 members of the side of Fizz Spectrum, and it looks like no one will die again unless actually a shockwave comes through from Snowflake Gecko into TSM Batman, and it looks like he will go down. Dragon is roaming up from the bottom lane, and he just barely gets missed with a hook, but he actually gets tagged with the Asher at long distance, and it looks like he will probably be going down here as well. Decides to save the flash and ends up going down to Flam82's Thresh. So this is not going too well for BME right now, but you couldn't have hoped for more from Fizz Spectrum here.
I mean, on the bright side, the kills went to the support in the jungle, so as long as you don't let the Lee Sin snowballing.
Very nice play from Flam82, but you also have to wonder what in the world is Sir Semper Fi doing there. No ulti, no flash, about 200 health, completely disrespecting Flam82's Thresh, which so far from what we've seen is really not a good idea. That time he did not take the kill, and it does go over to Hosier's Ash.
Yeah, so back to the point about the mid matchup, another problem is going to be it's not really advantageous to itemize for magic resist for the other team, and so if you get a Orianna that's slightly further ahead, that can even play into effect as well. Or if you do have to get forced to, oh, here we got a pause. Remember I told you 5%.
Yeah, I didn't expect to get through game 1 without a pause, but building maybe one magic resist item wouldn't be too bad for the members of Blood Moon Esports, but any more than that, and you're kind of getting a little bit detrimental, seeing as literally everyone else does physical damage other than Thresh. I don't really think he counts.
Yeah, no, I would say, like, if you're forced to buy more than one of them, like, the game's probably over.
It's not going to go too well for you, but, the fact that Snowflake Gecko is now up about 36 CS, got 2 assists over the Zed as well. Things could very easily get out of hand pretty quickly here.
Yeah, and then if you're forced to protect against her being too far ahead, all of a sudden the AD damage starts ramping up.
Not only do I think Sir Semper Fi is going to have to build maybe a Hex Drink or an Edge of Night, but he's probably also going to need a QSS, because he's going against an Ashe and a Thresh and a Gnar, and all 3 of those champions are going to make his life extremely difficult if he does not have a QSS.
Yeah, I mean, either that or a GA to come back in the late game fight.
Yeah, but I mean, typically with GA, I would say that functions a bit better when you're actually ahead, because when you're behind, it's just too easy to just sit around and wait for the person to come back up and then kill them again. And then if that ever happens, then you've got a massive amount of gold just completely wasted on a worthless item.
Yeah, I'm leaning more like if it ever got to like super late game, like some of these games are pretty long on average, then as like a last item, sure, why not?
BME side, okay, we're actually going to be seeing Sir Semper Fi getting ganked by Raider Penguins. Lee Sin again, and he actually hits a very nice flash kick. Sir Semper Fi will go down. It looks like TSM Batman's actually trying to stick around and fight here, and he will go down due to his greed. Not really too sure what was going on there, but very nice play from the side of Fizz Spectrum, especially Raider Penguins. Lee Sin Very uncharacteristic play coming out of TSM Batman here. He's 0-3-0. So, you know, another thing that I was really, you know, I think Galio is a very strong champion, and TSM Batman has played it in the jungle quite a few times, but due to the recent nerfs, actually, oh boy, I can't get a sentence out without these guys fighting anymore. So we do see, you know, the hook goes down on a Manny, and now Silky's actually teleporting into the bot lane, and he will not cancel it this time, even though maybe he should have.
Great tornado there. Saved.
Yeah, it definitely was. Dragon played that very well and ended up getting them out of a very hairy situation. It looks like Manny disrespects Silky's Gnar and goes down, but in the meanwhile, Snowflake Echo does end up getting 1v1 by the returning Sir Semper Fi, which is exactly what he needed.
Yeah, being honest, like, I don't know how he pulled it off. Like, it must have been like a complete outplay and or low mana or something.
Boy,
but...
so it's like, oh, well, I guess everyone will just walk away here from the bottom lane. That was a little bit hairy, but I believe what happened was Snowflake Gecko stayed after the double kill in the mid lane and was already a little bit low and kind of with no cooldowns, and then Sir Semper Fi just comes back with everything up in a full health bar and just got
and more items. Like, she completed the item after she had died. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Stayed a little too long in lane.
Boy, so it looks like everyone's in the mood to disrespect Sir Semper Fi Zed here, as that very nearly could have been a kill. She does have her Hozier does have heal up. Does not appear as though Sir Semper Fi's ultimate will be up anytime soon, so you got to kind of wonder why he's still down here in the bottom lane. Could end up in losing mid tower very early on into the game, and that is definitely not what you would want. At least certainly not to just the mid laner doing it without any extra pressure, and it looks like Hozier will go down to Manny's Q. That shouldn't be happening. Definitely a good punish, but it looks like Manny? Manny? What is everyone doing?
Without that shield, you went down there.
Yeah, for sure. But you've really got to question what was going on with Hozier. Not only was he greeting and staying, you know, a little bit too low and in range to get killed by a Sivir Q, but he also did not heal. He had heal.
Yeah, I mean, and like Sir Semper Fi, like, he picked up the assist, but there's a difference kind of between roaming and vacating your lane. Like, I realize he's super far behind, but you have to somehow pick up CS.
It's also forcing TSM Batman to sit mid and hold this wave so that Orianna cannot just solo the mid lane tower.
Yeah, and like, look how low the mid lane tower is, like, just from the creeps banging up against it.
Okay, so we're actually going to be seeing a Sivir come down onto Orianna, but there looks... Oh, wow. Okay, so this was definitely a very big overcommittal. I'm really not too sure why they were doing this. They don't really have very good engagement.
Yeah, Orianna's just one of those champs that you put it on your list. Do not tower dive unless
you're so they thought that they had this good engagement, but they're forgetting that they took Janna support with the Sivir. And we see, okay, Manny, you definitely should have been able to spell shield that. And he ends up going down ready to Penguins Lee. Yeah. What is going on here?
It's falling apart quick, man.
This is madness. Oh boy, the complete lack of respect coming out from the side of Blood Moon Esports is just kind of staggering. I'm at a bit of a loss for words as to what just happened in the mid lane, especially in that tower dive that resulted in a triple kill for Snowflake Gecko. I mean, you have no reliable means to lock the Orianna down and burst her before she can just ult you under the tower. She didn't even have to burn exhaust.
And she had exhaust, yeah, like, you dive her, she's just gonna exhaust you, and you're under tower. Tanking tower hits way behind. Like, that's not gonna go very well.
Yeah, they thought for some reason that Galio would help. Really got to question as to why they would even attempt something like that, but certainly Snowflake Gecko is happy that they did because that netted him her a triple kill.
And now you're starting to reach what we were talking about, where maybe one magic resist item isn't gonna be enough anymore.
It's not going to be. It certainly won't be.
Yeah, like, and so that's just digging even further.
I actually do see Flam rotating up to the top side of the map pretty early on Thresh. Just barely missed the hook on the Sir Semper Fi. We will also see Squeeze Hose using the Malphite ultimate to no avail. It looks like he may end up getting caught out here. We do see Orianna roaming over as well, and that will be the end of Squeeze Hose. And oh boy, okay, so Flam definitely should not have taken that kill. But Still a good play, but you really got to wonder why you would throw that auto there. He has no flash, he has no ult. He's going to die, but oh well. Still a very good
Well,
play.
kill secured.
Oh boy, it actually lands a blind hook onto Sir Semper Fi. He gets away, but Dragon has to end up kind of going in and dying in order to keep him alive, as it would seem. We see Ready to Penguin actually overextending and ends up getting
Very
caught out.
nice
Oh,
flash.
what? Dragon's not dead yet. Dragon, no. Oh boy. Okay, so Silky ends up killing Dragon now. TSM Batman goes in. Looks like he might be getting a little bit caught out there and will take quite a bit of his health and damage. Looks like no one else will die. So Ready to Penguin, Dragon trade lives. So will we see the Rift Herald go down here? I believe that is what Fifth Spectrum is rotating over to get.
Yeah, and there's no one coming to answer it. I mean, at least there shouldn't be.
Here.
I see them walking that way.
Problem for Fifth Spectrum here is that TSM Batman can ult in before Lee Sin would ever be able to get there, but it looks like BME are not going to risk going in here, and they will just back away and give over the Rift Herald anyways. So that will very likely be used top to get this tier 1 tower down.
At the same time, if they wouldn't have kind of wasted a little bit of time there, maybe the two of them could have been taking the dragon at the same time.
Yeah, certainly not taking the dragon there was also a mistake. I mean, you would either need to go top and clear that wave to make it hard to get this tower, or you go to dragon. It looks like actually Sir Semper Fi will get flayed back into the Asher. A very nice play from Flam and Hosier. Looks like Rated Penguin also flash in and kick the Janna back into his team. Very nice flash kick from him. Looks like we may see a return fight coming out from Manny and TSM Batman. Manny will kill both Ashe and Lee Sin, and now we will see Malphite ult come in, actually just clean up the rest of this team fight. So maybe a bit of an overstay
that's
here.
big. That's a lot of gold going onto the server. That's exactly where you'd want that gold to go.
Pretty much the best possible outcome that BME could have hoped for here. And you've got to really wonder, not only why are they overstaying there and fighting when they haven't backed in an age, but they also did not have Snowflake Gecko there to help them, which is by far the most fed member on their team.
Maybe just overestimating their strength. They were really far ahead at the time, and sometimes
they
it's
got
a little
pretty
easy to
hypey
get.
after that, the Thresh pull into the Asher and then the Flash Lee Sin kick, but they really didn't realize what was going on around them in the jungle with Malphite coming down, as well as Manny coming over to ult. So this should still be a dragon for Fifth Spectrum, since TSM Batman is very low, as well as Manny having to recall. It doesn't appear as though BME would be in anything close to a good position in defending this dragon. We do see Silky in the top lane with no teleport. Now Sir Semper Fi is actually going to ult in on the Hosier, but he is not anywhere near being able to kill her, and now Dragon will go down, saving his life. Poor Dragon. Good guy, Dragon. Nice guys. Apparently always finish last, and the Ash Arrow would just barely miss Sir Semper Fi. The Flam has not given up on the chase.
Questionable.
And he actually lands the hook. Oh my god, dude. Flam. Wow, okay, so so far Flam has been Sir Semper Fi's absolute worst nightmare. It seems as though he simply cannot miss hooks onto this guy.
He's playing very well. He's playing a strong game.
Yeah, maybe next time teams after watching this are going to ban out that Thresh, even though it is a sub-support player. TSM Batman being a little bit greedy here and staying and disrespecting Thresh's hook. He will go down, and now we see Squeeze Hose actually just kind of ulting in for nothing apparently, and Snowflake Gecko will completely destroy Draken. I think he only hit her with, what, 2 abilities, and she just got completely deleted.
That will happen when your Orianna is that far ahead and your Jan is that far behind.
5-1-8 with 150 CS at 20 minutes. So this is still a bit of a staggering gold lead for 20 minutes, 6,500 gold in the lead right now, as well as being up 2 dragons. And you're the team that scales better into the late game quite immensely. So
and the team with more experience fighting together.
Yeah, for sure. If you're on the side of BME, you've got to try and make something happen. You got to do it very soon, else this game is just simply going to be too far out of hand for you to be able to come back.
You know, one thing I can say though is the Malphite ult did do a decent amount of damage, so if you can get that up on enough, sorry, get that off on enough key targets, you
Yeah, but
could
the
maybe.
problem is that the later this game goes, Malphite isn't going to be building any damage, so the ultimate's really not going to scale, and so the more HP people get, people are going to be getting a little bit more MR as the game goes on.
For sure.
The less damage that can be relied on from that, and it will pretty much just be entirely Manny and Sir Semper Fi.
And that's kind of rough because it's like basically a timer on your game, and at the same time, the only fight they'd really win is if the other team overcommits, and so they're
Yeah,
almost
and
banking on
and
a
if they don't have
mistake.
Snowflake Gecko, they have to overcommit and not have their mid laner.
Yeah, it's a lot of ifs.
I just think this is kind of ridiculous at the moment that Snowflake Gecko has Morellonomicon and a Luden's Echo and a Blasting Wand at 22 minutes into the game. So we'll see Flam hit a hook on a TSM Batman. Not really the target you would have wanted to hit there, but nothing will come of it. And we do see Silky in the bottom lane yet again. Now his teleport is actually up. Hook just barely missing Dragon there. Asher actually hitting very nicely on a Sir Semper Fi, but it looks like he will be able to get away with the help of a Galio ult. And a fairly nice Orianna ult, actually maybe on second thought, maybe not, but actually TSM Batman will go in and land a taunt on the ready to Penguin. He will go down, and now Hosier's caught out from the rest of his team. But actually a very good Gnar ulti will help to keep him alive just a little bit longer so that he can get more damage down. It looks like the Fifth Spectrum will be turning this fight around, maybe be able to clean it up with the help of Orianna, be able to come back into this fight and stop being zoned out. Maybe a quadra kill? Yeah, very nice quadra kill.
Very nice, yeah. I mean, I would say the Orianna ult itself was good in the sense that it hit enough people, maybe just the wrong targets, but at this point when you're this far ahead and it's all on your primary damage, they just kited them around in circles and ended up damaging them.
I would say this fight definitely was on the shoulders of Silky and his ultimate. That really turned things around. Hosier made a bit of a mistake getting cut off from the rest of his team. Was just about to go down, and then Silky popped his ult and got, I believe, 4, if not all 5 members of BME into the wall, which also kind of has to be a mistake on their part, not realizing where they are, what they're standing right next to against a Gnar that's about to go mega. End up getting turned around.
Yeah, I think they just got excited after seeing the Orianna ult be used there, and then seeing it instantly, like, because you have to remember a lot of these ults have just been people getting insta-killed, and so after seeing minimal damage to key members, they probably just overcommitted.
Well, now that minimal damage will be just quite a bit more against these tanks, seeing as Orianna, after getting the quadra kill, went from a Blasting Wand straight into a Void Staff at 24 minutes into the game. So just absolutely absurdly far ahead right now. Very nearly going to hit Flame Horizon on Sir Semper Fi in the mid lane.
There's not many ways to itemize against that.
Yeah, there really isn't much of a way to at all, other than just waiting until everyone has 6 items and then just trying to blow Orianna up, which is going to be quite the task, going through Thresh, Lee Sin, and Gnar to blow up a Orianna with Exhaust, who's probably going to be building Azanya's. You see that Silky is just committed to staying in the bot lane, and this is really not optimal for BME, having to keep their main source of wave clear in the bottom lane to defend against that, but it also appears as the Fifth Spectrum is just a little bit too scared to walk up and hit this tower.
Yeah,
So Superfight actually does get hooked by Flam, and that was actually very nice. Asher as well coming down on TSM Batman. He may end up getting caught out. He does have to ult early. Orianna will kill Dragon, and now gets barely caught into the tower, but it looks like he will be able to get away, or she will be able to get away. Now Squeeze Hose ends up getting hooked by Thresh as well, and that is a triple kill for Snowflake Gecko. So Snowflake Gecko is picking up all these kills, but certainly Flam is being a big part of this as well.
Yeah, she's basically picking up where she left off, going for her title again.
Manny commits in, just wants to get the kill, at least one kill on the Fifth Spectrum before going down. But Flam's hooks, man, these things have been on point. He caught Sir Semper Fi slipping over towards the Raptors clearing a ward. He didn't think that he would get hooked over the wall, and he definitely did, and that ended up getting resulting in a very, very bad team fight for BME. It looks like they may end up losing Baron off of it as well.
It's just been like the one thing I notice is they're just playing extremely well. They're playing to their win condition. They got ahead, and instead of maybe overextending and getting caught out and allowing their opponents back in the game, they're basically just cutting them out of the game.
Yeah, I'd say that this game isn't really, BME making a lot of mechanical misplays or having this huge misunderstanding as to what their champions are supposed to do. It really just looks like Fifth Spectrum is significantly better working with one another. They look like
Yeah.
a lot more experienced, which obviously they very much are, and that is what I think is the big difference right now and why they are stomping this game so hard at 26 minutes.
Got another Cloud Drake. Some action maybe by it. Should just go free though.
Yeah, if you're on the side of BME, you definitely do not risk the entire game over a Cloud Dragon.
I've seen many games lost over the Great Cloud Dragon.
Yeah, the best dragon in the game, clearly. Just nothing even compares. This is a dragon worth throwing the game over, clearly.
Agreed.
Actually, do see Squeeze Hose going for an Abyssal Mask. Not entirely certain I agree with that. I think probably going Gargoyle Stoneplate would have been a bit better here. Maybe, and even, Sunfire Cape has been kind of an item that's been out of the meta, especially in the top lane for quite a while now because of all the nerfs that came onto it. Maybe Malphite's one of the better champions to build it on, but I think probably it would have been better to maybe go Dead Man's Plate or Randuin's here, but certainly going Gargoyle Stoneplate would have been better second item. I do see
They're holding on pretty well here. I mean, I think it's a little hesitation by FS.
Yeah, I mean, they
should
have
just be able to walk up
pull the
and
trigger
get
on
them
these
off the
towers.
tower.
Oh, but now we actually see Flam hitting a hook onto Manny. Oh my goodness, and then the Oriana comes down to TSM.
And that's the go button.
Reagan. Well, we had just said that they were unwilling to pull the trigger on this tower, and then Flam just completely makes me eat my words.
Yeah, they're just extremely patient. Look at that. Waited for the correct moment.
No, with Snowflake Gecko having a very good performance here, I would say right now, I think Flam is the one making most of this happen. He's been the one initiating the fights and catching people out for the most part so far, so I think a lot of that has been set up Snowflake to get these nice kill combinations with, like, I think a Quadra and I think maybe 2 triples up into this point. He ends up hooking Simplify again. Looks like he will end up getting Malphite ulti, but it won't make much of a difference, seeing as no one on BME does much damage, and then we see Suki flashing into ult Manny back, and he ends up going down as well, so that is the primary source of damage dead for the side of BME. Now we see TSM Batman trying to go in and salvage this horrible situation that they're in. Sir Simplify will attempt to ult in and kill Snowflake Gecko, but it will not work. TSM Batman is presumably going to die here.
Another hook, man. You just see the teamwork playing out right here. It's hook.
Dragon will fall to yet another Oriana ult. Yep. So very, very solid performance from Fifth Spectrum, and I think that most of this is a result of BME just really not being very experienced as a team, and I think that this will certainly get better the longer the season goes on, because I don't believe any of these players have played with one another up until this point.
I mean, it was fairly even early in a lot of the lanes, maybe besides mid. It was just 1 or 2 critical errors that kind of threw the game way out of reach.
The laning phase, experience as a team doesn't really have much of an effect on the early laning phase, but once people start rotating around the map and you start these team fights, that's when the difference in experience with your teammates is going to show quite clearly.
Yeah, and it gives them something to work on in the future weeks. And on other notes, Snowflake, good luck mid laners catching her. 18 and 12.
Yeah, so definitely the most kill participation on the team, and while I would say that Snowflake Gecko has probably the best performance in that game, I think that it cannot be understated the performance of the substitute support Flam, who is the big reason why most of the very positive team fights for them started to begin with him just catching someone out with a hook randomly out of nowhere.
Yeah, and it wasn't once
they
or
just
twice.
died.
It was like over and over and over and over. Like, and even the last fight right there, like he hooked 3 or 4 people in a row, and they all just died.
Yeah, the big one that ended up really just solidifying that game was the hook on the Sir Semper Fi at the Raptors when he was clearing a ward that ended up getting him hit by an Ash Arrow. Actually, no, the Ash Arrow hit TSM Batman right after Sir Semper Fi went down, and I believe that was the team fight that ended up giving them Baron, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we got very high total damage from Snowflake, the ADC as well from FS.
So I believe that does wrap up game number 1, and I believe we will be going into intermission while we wait for the start of game number 2.
Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide.
All right, everyone, and welcome back to the second match of the night for the RPL. We will be seeing the Jamaican Hopscotch Mafia take on Clorox Bleach. Wow, that first name is a mouthful.
Quite a mouthful. Holy smokes.
All right, so we still need to settle on what we're going to call them in game, because there's no way I'm saying the entirety of Jamaican Hopscotch Mafia the entire game in the middle of it.
Call them the Mafia.
Yeah, dude, they're the Mafia.
There's another team with Mafia, I'm pretty sure, as well.
Damn it. All right, they're Hopscotch Mafia.
No.
The name is too long.
The other team's Mammoth Mafia, so we can just get away with calling them Mammoth.
So I'm still trying to figure out what's going on with the substitute situation. Hopscotch Mafia. So their substitute top laner being Dr. Warlock is really not a top laner. Seems like a bit of an emergency
He's
sub.
support, isn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely a support.
Yeah, I remember.
He was actually the champion from the previous 2 seasons ago, yeah.
Yeah, no, he was champion. Sorry, I said the wrong champ. That's why I said no. It was Tarek.
And I believe he was the MVP, right? He got MVP for that.
He very well could have. I know he 100%. They 100% won. It was like Channel 6.
He played Tarek all 5 games.
Maybe something you should ban if he ever goes back to support.
Yeah, but he hasn't really been playing it recently. I don't think he has any games other than his match history, and now he's not playing support from what I can tell.
Interested to see how he does in the top.
Things are not. I mean, the odds are kind of stacked against him because he is going against one of the better top laners in the league, especially from last season, Spodo One.
I'm interested in seeing the bot lane matchup. Both of these bot lanes are pretty strong.
From what I can tell, the Matt Crates does seem like a very solid AD carry.
Yeah, I think I remember he had something like an 8 or 9 KDA with like ridiculous stats, like high kill participation. King Crew was one of the highest mid laners. We'll see how he does on AD carry.
Wait, did they just miss a ban?
They might have lost the ban.
Yeah, I don't know. This is weird. Yeah, I guess they did. I don't see otherwise why they wouldn't ban. So I suppose they lost a ban. And, you know, Nomadicrates, he is a very solid AD carry, but he is playing with someone who I don't really think he plays a lot with. And although King Crew and Kecker weren't in the same lane last season, they were on the same team the entirety of last season. So they should have a bit of an experience gap. They have been playing with each other for quite a while, ever since King Crew made the move from mid lane to AD carry.
Yeah, but then again, you have to factor in the fact that the AD carry they're playing is probably one of the strongest ones in the entire league, and you just switched a couple months ago. So I'm really interested to see, is that something he's always been comfortable at, or is this kind of new? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. And looking at the bans for a moment, we do see the Orianna and Kha'Zix bans coming out, and these are two of the absolute most comfortable picks for both Sharnos and Bunaloo. And so another thing to note is I hate anime is a big-time Zed and Katarina player. And what I think that Clorox Bleach are trying to do is to force him onto Zed. They banned out Ari and they banned out his Katarina, and I think that they really, really want him on Zed.
We'll have to wait and see. Anything in mind that maybe just isn't fun for Zed to lane against?
Yeah, definitely not fun. And also Bunaloo plays a lot of Lissandra, which is also a horrible matchup for Zed. So that is the Bunaloo mostly just plays Orianna and Lissandra from what I saw when I looked at his op.gg. So I presume that is what they're waiting on, and they do have the last pick since they are on red side, so they will definitely be expecting him to pick Zed. And we see another Gnar come out here. Spider-One not quite as experienced on the champion as Silky is, but definitely a very good pick in Renekton, and I think Gnar is coming back into the meta quite heavily, and also Sharnos going on to Lee Sin. Very high priority in the meta, and Sharnos is a very notoriously aggressive jungler. See Rark potentially going for his Hecarim. Maybe he will play Nunu.
Caitlyn.
You see Caitlyn coming out. That's a very high priority to carry. Probably,
The highest.
I'd say still the best in the game. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like, just those traps are just super good. On max cooldown, I think it's something around 10 seconds. So even if you have to move the trap line, you're not waiting a very long time.
See, I believe if you're on, okay, so they're actually going to go for Echo. They're not going to put him on Zed, which is a bit surprising. I hate anime being forced off of his comfort zone.
Maybe it's something he's been working on for that exact situation.
Possibly, but I think that the main reason why he's not picking Zed here is that they know Bunaloo plays a lot of Lysandra, and that they wanted him to pick Zed. I still think that they'll probably pick Lysandra here. Oh, no, they're actually going to go for the Karma. Now, I don't know how much I agree with that, showing a bot lane pick when the mid laner and the top laner have been shown. You could just pick the mid in response and then save your bottom lane picks for later, but
you know, it could be a smart decision, though, because, I mean, Karma
yeah,
still can be flexed into the mid. It is still a decent pick. You can get Ardent Sensor.
And Karma could have been banned out or first picked by the side of the Hopscotch.
And now, on top of it, how do you ban against them? Like, from, if you know there's a mid laner, you could start to target ban other roles. All of a sudden, you have a flex pick. Which role do you target?
Yeah, that could call into question whether or not you actually want to ban Lysandra anymore, because you may just end up banning a mid laner when the mid laner has already been picked.
Right, so it kind of throws a little unpredictability in there.
But
I mean, I do think it will end up being a support. But
yeah, I don't think we're going to see Karma mid here.
Very viable in the mid.
I would say that it's viable mid, but I'd say it's definitely better as a bottom laner.
For sure.
So we do see the Sejuani bans coming out, as well as the Tom Kench. So Gavanicus and Rark being targeted here, and we also saw a Hecarim ban coming out towards the end, which I kind of overlooked and thought that maybe he'd pick Hecarim in response. That's probably why they picked Caitlyn. So it was a bit of an error in looking at the bans from me earlier.
I can understand the Draven ban. Not fun laning against that champ right now.
Yeah, but why? I don't really understand banning out the Draven against an AD carry that really doesn't have that much experience. And from what I could tell, King Crew doesn't even really play Draven. But now we're actually going to be seeing Zac get picked. And although Rark hasn't really got that much experience on Zac, I don't think you really need to.
Yeah, Zac's just one of those ones that you can miss half of your skills and still end up killing the person.
And Gavanicus will be picking up the Thresh, so that will round out the team composition from the Jamaican Hopscotch Mafia. So we'll see what will Clorox Bleach be picking. Are they going to be showing another mid laner, or will they pick a support here? Oh, okay. Were you right? Will they lock it in? Is it going to be Karma mid? It would make a little bit more sense now that they have Twitch. Okay, so yeah, that was what they were planning. They want the like a bunch of supports and frontliners for this Twitch.
Yeah, and so right there, that makes a lot of sense. If you can get to late game, or if you can have your Twitch at any point in the game, even or ahead of Caitlyn, all of a sudden your team turns into a really scary beast.
Yes, but the people supporting King Crew's Twitch are going to have a lot on their hands, because they are going against a team composition that will be very good at picking off this Twitch in a team fight.
No doubt, no doubt. It's still going to be quite difficult, but maybe that's something they could prioritize.
I like it when two team compositions are very different. So two completely different play styles. You get to see which team is capable of bending the other team to their will.
Man, I shudder when I see Zac. I do not know how that got through.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that it got through to begin with as well. But I'd say maybe you don't ban Tom Kench or Ari there. I'd say that the other three, like Katarina, Hecarim, and Sejuani, are pretty solid. Maybe not even Sejuani now that I think of it. I don't believe Rark actually plays a lot of Sedge, and I'd definitely say Zac is stronger than Sejuani.
Yeah, I would say out of those, I'd rather face a Hecarim or a Sejuani than a Zac.
Well, Rark is Hecarim is his main champion. He plays a whole bunch of Hecarim.
Yeah, but I mean, getting Hecarim to go through a Gnar, go through a Lee Sin, go through a Karma, go through a Nami, meh. You have to remember, Clorox Bleach was one of the top teams last year. They're not pushovers by any means, and so I just think they would definitely be able to peel that. Zac is how do you peel something that can gank from out of ward coverage?
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but typically what people try to do is just put people off their comfort picks, and the problem would have been if Hecarim gets fed early on, then it wouldn't be too difficult for him to just go in and blow Twitch up completely. Zach won't really have that problem. He does not actually have to get ahead to do anything with Twitch. He just jumps on him and ults him into his team and let them do the work.
Yeah, no, for sure. You make a good point.
So we see in the bottom lane, you know, typically you would want to poke pretty much the entire laning phase with Caitlyn, but in this situation, I'd say that they should probably be trying to do a lot more all-ins, because, you know, Nami is a very good champion to pick into Caitlyn, because it can kind of help to negate out a lot of that poke. But if someone gets hooked, then they're going to be in trouble, because Nami is going to be hard-pressed to land a bubble on a champion with such long range as Caitlyn.
Right.
And landing the bubble on Thresh after he hits his Q and his E really isn't going to do
And
much.
Caliber Net can get you out of trouble too if you're about to get hooked by the bubble.
Absolutely.
I definitely agree. They need to all in. You do not want to get into a sustain war essentially with a Twitch and a Nami. The Twitch is just gonna whittle you away with those poison picks every single auto.
Well, I would say that nomadic crates on Caitlyn would, you know, slowly but surely win the poke war, but that's not what you want. You don't want to be like slowly getting a lead on Twitch. You want to be getting a pretty sizable lead as quickly as you can.
Yeah,
because,
you want like 1 or 2
you know,
kills in lane.
if you're only 15 CS ahead of Twitch in the laning phase as Caitlyn, you're pretty much even, or if not behind. And if you're even in CS with him, then you're clearly behind.
Yeah.
Because he's going to outscale you so hard.
And basically the point where Twitch becomes out of control is whenever he's tied with that Caitlyn. And so if Caitlyn could get 30 CS up with 2 kills, that Twitch isn't going to start ramping up until super, super, super late game. If that Twitch gets 2 or 3 kills, good luck.
One thing I definitely do like about this game is that every single lane has quite a bit of gank potential for both sides. And we have 2 very aggressive early junglers in Zac and Lee Sin, so I think we're going to be seeing quite a bit of action early on.
Which
And
team
having
comp
the
do you
junglers
think's
is
the
very
best
important.
together, just for the draft?
I don't know, man. I think that they're just really different. But if I had to tip my hat towards one, I'd say probably for the side of Hopscotch Mafia. I think it's a little bit easier to play their team composition. It's that's just the reason why I give it to them. It's just easier to execute their win condition.
Yeah, a little more forgiveness to their comp. Like we said, Zac goes in, misses.
Quark's
still
Bleach, if
walk
Twitch
up the
dies, you
target.
just lose.
Basically, especially late game.
And, you know, they have the
If you're
means to
running from a
protect
Renekton flank TP, you're running from a Zac, you're running from an
I'm not,
Echo
by
with
no
a
means am I saying
Caitlyn.
Quark's Bleach's team composition is bad. It's just that, you know, they have the means to protect King Crew on Twitch. It's just going to be really hard. They cannot make a mistake because they're playing against a comp with
But
an
now here's the
immense
thing.
amount of pick potential.
They picked a Lee Sin, which in this situation, I think is a very strong pick. It gives you peel for your Twitch late game, early game. If that Lee Sin can get ramping up and start to get some of these lanes moving, these are some extremely gankable lanes as well as advantageous to gank them. Like if you, like I said, you get a Twitch ahead, you get a Gnar ahead. Like those are very rampy lanes.
That's why Lee Sin has been such a high priority pick in the jungle for so long, is that he's just so damn versatile. He does everything. He has good early pressure, and even though he doesn't really do that much late game in terms of damage, he's still got an immense amount of utility.
You basically can dive in late game and
Yeah, his
pick a
ultimate
target
can
at
be
will.
used to engage and disengage, which is always very strong.
So far they're all even in CS.
Yep, completely even. This is a bit of a shocker here. This doesn't normally happen where every single member of both teams is completely even in CS.
And there's no invades. Nobody's going for any wards. Looks like we're just getting the passive waiting.
However,
Although
maybe
we
this
see them
time,
grouping.
in this game, unlike the last one, we will be seeing the junglers start on opposite sides of the map. Kind of unusual to see a Zac start at the blue buff first, but maybe he has a plan to gank bottom lane early, which you can't really argue too much with, because if you're on the side of Jamaican Hopscotch Mafia, you definitely want to be putting this Twitch behind. That is the biggest, that is like the key piece to their win condition puzzle.
Yeah.
Some nice dancing and
I'm also
mastery.
interested to see if the junglers actually take each other's opposite buffs next if they swap red for red, maybe. Or if there's counter gank, like who knows? Like it is weird that Zach is starting blue though.
Yeah, I think that that's so unusual that I think that it has to be that he's just trying to gank bottom early. There's really no other reason why you would start that. You just want to go like, blue, take another camp, and then go red, and then gank bottom at level 3. Looks like he chooses to go for his Gromp, which is even more surprising. I wouldn't have expected that, because Zach is kind of bad at taking camps that are just by themselves. He usually works better in AoE camps.
He's definitely put himself behind. Lee's already on his red buff, and we're still about.
He's actually going for full clear. This is interesting. So Zach will be in a better position to gank at level 3, but he will get behind if he doesn't manage to get anything out of it. The bad thing about his pathing is that since he got his red buff now and is looking to gank, he's still on the top side of the map, and both mid and top are shoved in too far for him to gank right now, so he just kind of has to go to invade, and guess what? There's nothing left. He full cleared that side, so he's kind of have to walk away sad, maybe take the scuttle or something, but really not much he can do. Unless, of course, I hate enemy's actually going to be trying to dive on the Bunaloo, and he will be getting ganked by Sharnos, and he is in a very bad spot. And, oh, man, flashes in a straight line and gets hit with a Q anyways. Yeah, that's the common mistake, man. You can't flash and, directly away from a champion with skill shots like that.
And that's exactly what they're looking for, getting the Lee Sin rolling.
Yeah, so that was what did not need to happen for Rark to get behind because of the full clear early on. As long as Lee Sin did not get a successful gank off, then Rark would be ahead, but now he is definitely behind.
Karma's definitely out of mana now, but I mean,
yeah, but she has teleport advantage.
Mid-lane.
They both took TP, and now I Hate Enemy has to use teleport very early, and it looks like that Gavanicus will hook Kekker in. Also, Kekker does hit Pneumatic Crates with a bubble. King Crew is still trying to fight. It looks like Thresh's cooldowns are still down, and maybe this fight gets turned around on Hopscotch Mafia here in the bottom lane. That's a little bit odd. Now, don't really expect Twitch to be going so evenly with a Caitlyn lane and a double bubble may spell the end for Hopscotch Mafia's bottom lane, and we will be seeing Twitch get a double kill 4 minutes into the game against Thresh Caitlyn.
Yeah, and this is reaching a critical point at this point. Like, Twitch is the worst champion to give kills.
This is the absolute worst thing that could have possibly happened early on in the game for Hopscotch Mafia. It doesn't get any worse than that. And now it looks like Spoderwan is getting ganked by I Hate Anime, but Dr. Warlock could be going down as well, but it looks like he will just barely get away, and I Hate Anime will get a successful roam onto Spoderwan. So at least they're answering back in terms of ganking the top lane, but that's not anywhere near as impactful as giving the absolute main carry on the enemy team, who the entire enemy team composition is based around keeping him safe, a double kill against a lane he should be losing to at 4 minutes.
And he's up in CS as well. Like, Caitlyn at this point is pretty much...
And he forced Caitlyn to go for a Cole.
Yeah, for a Cole. That's exactly what I was just about to say. Like, you've basically given up the lane at that point. Like, when Caitlyn goes Cole, like, you have conceded lane, and that is the complete worst thing possible for that matchup.
So, I'm trying to look at the... Okay, so the hotkey to show the team's gold is not working for me now. That's weird.
It's X.
Now Sharnos will be counter ganking. Yeah, I know it's X. It just worked, and then I put it back to the normal scoreboard, and it stopped working. Sharnos ends up counter ganking Rark and does get the kill onto I Hate Anime. So this is a bit of an overextension there, but also not really doing a good job of keeping track of where Sharnos is. So I Hate Anime will go down. He wasn't level 6 to have the ult to get away from that. Okay, now it's working again. I was trying to make note of the fact that now Caitlyn is down, 600 gold in terms of just, the flat out total gold amount. But buying the Cole in this lane effectively puts you another 350 gold down. I mean, he might as well be 1,000 gold down to Twitch.
Right. Like, Caitlyn ideally wants to get, like, a BF sword and crush the lane phase,
surely,
not to get a Cole.
You'll get like 50 gold total out of it, but you're in the stage of the game where you need to be getting the lead, and you basically just wasted 350 gold that on an item that isn't going to pay off until Twitch is just at a point where he'll destroy you.
Yeah, and so basically, like we were saying, unless something miraculous happens, like if they gank bot 3 times and Caitlyn gets 3 or 4 kills, like
they're gonna have
sure,
to.
but if something stays the same, like you basically got your Twitch to the point you want him, and we're 7 minutes in the game. Like,
Hopscotch Mafia absolutely cannot leave this bottom lane alone. They have to come down and do something very soon. I mean, this is like the linchpin in Clorox Bleach's team composition. You have to do something about this.
yeah, bring a tent.
Yep. Set up a campfire, get some s'mores going.
But then you get to the point, like, you're ganking a
It
Nami
looks like
lane.
Sharnos is actually potentially going to be able to kill Rourke at his blue buff. He did not know that it was warded. He will hit the Q, the kick Q, and he should be able to clean up the blobs. Looks like 2 of them are stacked on top of each other. Maybe Zach will be able to come back up, but he's already really low, and he might end up getting chased down. He gets over the wall. He's away for now. Spider-One and Dr. Warlock are fighting 1v1 as well, but it looks like I Hate Anime will come up after Sharnos does finish off Rourke. We also got Bunaloo and Sharnos collapsing onto I Hate Anime. He'll have to go over the wall, run up to his ally Dr. Warlock, but there's also a Gnar there. Looks like he will be getting chased off, but could also potentially be seeing Dr. Warlock getting ganked. And now Pneumatikrate's getting very low. Has to burn the heal to not go down, only for a King Crew ultimate. This is definitely not what you would want 8 minutes into the game. Caitlyn Thresh going into Twitch Nami is to be getting pushed under your tower and almost killed.
Like, I mean, just look at the itemization.
Oh boy, and talking about itemization, this Renekton matchup is very, very bad, and forcing Renekton to rush Ninja Tabis with a door and shield and full tank items early on is just not good. And now we also seeing Gavanicus going for a little bit of a overzealous Q. He may end up getting himself killed. Not too sure why you think you can fight this now.
And from bad to worse.
Bad to worse. This is an absolute disaster for Hopscotch Mafia. And like I was saying, is that on a champion like Renekton, you want to be able to snowball, and you want to be able to, maybe get a solo kill in lane and be able to do work early on, because Renekton is pretty notoriously bad in the late game. But he's going against a champion that kind of counters him in lane and scales better than him, and he's having to build absolute full tank against him. So
yeah, I mean, bottom lane's the exact same thing. Like, you draft 2 lanes that should effectively get ahead early, and you're behind in both of them. Or at least maybe not behind top, but even.
I would say that the top lane matchup is actually bad for Renekton, but Renekton as a champion needs to win early.
Yeah, yeah, that's the point. That's a good point. That's what I was saying. But it's just not a very good place to be when.
Yeah, and a lot of this comes from Dr. Warlock not being a top laner, and Renekton, I think, is maybe the only top laner he can play. So it is unfortunate that they didn't have to
maybe he's gonna carry you.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong, and he'll maybe eat my words and he'll just go like 15-0. But somehow I doubt that's going to happen.
The late game Renekton carry.
Oh yeah, goes full AD, sells his Ninja Tabis and gets cooldown boosts, and sells the Ruby Crystal and the cloth armor and goes like the Romanian build.
The Hide and Windwall special.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I casted that game.
Diving in him too. Then diving the next.
He does appear to be getting the better of these trades early on due to bad positioning from Spoderwan and not properly kiting out the Renekton in mini Gnar form. Looks like I Hate Anime is going to be ganking him yet again. He is not in a good spot.
Beautiful
he does have flash up and barely gets his flash off, but it doesn't appear as if he will be able to get away. Yeah. Kites him out just a little bit more and puts a little bit more damage on Dr. Warlock before dying. And now we also see Sharnos is up here, but this is very dangerous for him. You have to kind of question why he's trying to go for this 2v1. So having to burn his flash, and it looks like he will still end up dying here. So
yeah, definitely just want to walk away from that one. No point getting involved.
Was really greedy. He just gave a 3-kill shutdown to I Hate Anime's Echo.
And all of a sudden they've basically went from 3 lanes verging on life support to 2 lanes rolling.
Yeah, and I mean, if there's any champion on Hopscotch Mafia who is going to be able to run in and burst down King Crew's Twitch. It is the Echo.
Yeah, and it's also two of the champions that are going to be the ones diving the backline for that Twitch.
And we do see I Hate Anime getting the better of this early trade onto Bunaloo. He does end up taking a tower shot, and that will turn things around a little bit there, so overstep there for him. And now King Crew runs onto a trap while he's invisible. It doesn't seem to really matter because Nomadic Race doesn't really do that much damage right now, and Kecker has quite strong heals.
Yeah, we're talking BF pickaxe cull just
Yes.
fully completed.
It is a completed Bork pre-12 minutes because he's had that for a while now.
Yeah, that's not the fight you want to pick.
Okay, he accidentally showed himself onto Gavanicus there, and that will be the end of that stealth attempt from King Crew. Things have kind of calmed back down here. It looks like Sharnos is attempting to counter jungle Rourke, but he's not really being able to find any camps up right now. Or is there really any... I mean, maybe that he plans to go for a dive, but he's walking over a ward now. See the handoff of the blue from Rourke to I Hate Anime. Maybe they will try to dive the top lane yet again. It does appear to be what they are going for. And Pneumatikrates ends up getting hit with a bubble, and now Kecker gets hooked in.
That was a great save right
Back
there.
onto a trap. Looks like, oh, he will just barely get away. No! Gavanicus flashes in and gets baited by the heel of King Crew. It appears as though he will die to the Twitch poison. And in the top lane, it looks like Spoderwan has been effectively dove and killed. Oh, no. Okay, so he just burns the flash. Does still end up dying. Dr. Warlock is going to be teleporting down to the bot lane as well as I Hate Anime. There's a double teleport coming in here from the side of Hopscotch Mafia. And I Hate Anime will probably end up having to ult back away. But King Crew 11 is a bit overextended. He will go down to Dr. Warlock, and now I Hate Anime will jump back in, back onto Bunaloo. And it looks like maybe they will have to back off now. So you still have to question how worth it is so far, and a very nice build from Kecker will probably end up saving the life of Sharnos. Looks like Rourke, Bunaloo, not paying too much attention to Zach being in the mid lane, but there is a blast cone to save him. So you still have to wonder, though, you know, Pneumatikrates and Gavanicus just died in the bottom lane. And then, you know, Hopscotch Mafia burned both of their teleports only to get one kill. That's still not a very good trade for them.
You know what, though? It does relieve a lot of pressure. I mean, if you look, like, we're almost dead even in gold right now.
Yeah, and a lot of that is because of the top lane, and that before they teleported, they 3-man dove Spoderwan and killed him again, so he's 0-3-0. He is still just a little bit ahead in CS, but right now, you know, it's not really going to matter too much against this Fed Renekton.
For sure. And then on the other end, you got a Fed Lee Sin.
Okay, so we actually see
Twitch.
Bunaloo is teleporting in behind Hopscotch Mafia's bottom lane, and he will be going for a gank to help get this Twitch even further ahead. Pneumatikrates looks like maybe he can get away, and we see Rourke coming down to counter gank this as well, but Pneumatikrates is also very low at the moment. CC is only going down onto Bunaloo here, and wow, okay, you got to wonder why King Crew did not even attempt to block that Caitlyn ult. That's a bit of a misplay there.
And Echo's coming on the back end.
Looks like Kecker will also go down, so a bit of an overcommittal coming out from the side of Clorox Bleach.
But now we see the same on the other end, going in on the Twitch.
Yeah, but Echo did have his ulti up, so it appears as though he knew what he was doing, even though maybe he didn't need to burn it. Like Rourke, Sharnos kind of ignoring the fact that Rourke had his passive up, and now we see a double flay coming out from Gavanicus that will result in the death of both Sharnos and King Crew for absolutely nothing.
And that's basically what you want to avoid. You don't, like, they were in a position where they were pretty strong. They had their Twitch way ahead of the other team, which is something you really want at this stage of the game, and they kind of just threw it all away.
You absolutely do not have to be this proactive in trying to get Twitch even further ahead in the bottom lane. You can just let them farm.
Yeah, just let them farm.
I mean, it's
chill.
not like you're not going against the clock like Pneumatikrates is. You don't have to try and force this. All you have to do is just try and counter gank if your bottom lane gets ganked.
Right, or like you can pick up dragons in the meantime, Rift Herald, help other lanes maybe get back afloat, because I mean, top's starting to get into a dangerous state.
Well, this is definitely a mistake from the side of Clorox Bleach. I also have to give it to Hopscotch Mafia for taking full advantage of it and getting a very, very good trade out of it, and actually skyrocketing themselves from being, even if not maybe a little bit behind, to a 3,000 gold lead in a matter of about a minute and a half.
Yeah. Now what I'd like to see from them is working towards the mid turret. You've already taken the bot. You should be working towards the next objective. Maybe get the Rift Herald in between just to help your push.
And that is one big weakness from the side of Clorox Bleach, is that they do not really have very good wave clear. Karma can only ult so many of her Qs so quickly, and outside of that, really no one else provides good wave clear, and Echo is very, very effective at clearing waves, so is Caitlyn.
Yeah, no Runans on Twitch either.
Yeah, he will be building that pretty soon, but he does not have it right now. So, okay, and it looks like Evanix will be able to get this pink ward. Kecker does not have another one. Maybe, I'm not too sure when he placed that, but you should definitely be having at least 2 at this point. You know, because if you place one that far forward, you know it's going to die. And so you need another one to put in the tri-brush so that you don't just get wrapped around on when you go to farm. But now it looks like they're actually rotating up to the mid lane to maybe look for a play on I Hate Anime, but he is he's smelling something fishy. He goes towards his blue buff and finds Sharnos. So now we have a full 5-man group, or 4-man now, in the mid lane coming out from Clorox Bleach, unlike Hopscotch Mafia, who has their bottom lane still in the bottom lane. Look like they're coming back up now, though.
That's not the greatest. Oh, that's nice though.
Yeah, Hopscotch Mafia looking for an engagement here. Sharnos actually does kick in pneumatic crates, and now we see Twitch getting off a massive amount of damage with his ultimate, but Zach does pull him in. He does have to flash away, and I Hate Enemy is trying to assassinate him here in the backline. He ends up having to blow his ult now. Twitch is still alive, and we do see Spodawan teleporting in, but it looks like he will cancel it. So that is a 1-for-2 in the favor of Jamaican Hopscotch Mafia. So they win yet another trade, end up burning Spodawan's teleport for nothing, as well as getting an extra kill there. But one problem
Yeah, they
we
were
did see
able
for
to
them,
get onto
though,
the back line fairly easily. Karma was just left almost on her own. Twitch didn't really get any peel as well.
yeah, but the thing that is a bit scary for Jamaican Hopscotch Mafia is King Crew only has the Bork, and he only had, I believe, like maybe 2 daggers. Even if he only had the Zeal there, he did a ridiculous amount of damage when he was able to auto attack, and he's not anywhere near the big Twitch power spike that comes when he gets like, you know, like 3 items, which is when he absolutely starts destroying people. So this is still a bit scary, and they weren't able to kill him there despite Zach getting his ult off on him. It looks like Spodawan will end up getting hooked in, and he will have to flash away.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of good flush play today.
Yeah, as well as Spodawan overextending a little bit in this game. It has resulted in a few extra deaths, and you know, part of that I can't entirely blame him, because he has been getting camped really hard in the laning phase by I Hate Anime, and then he got 3-man dove right before that big play that turned things around for Hopscotch Mafia in the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, he's even on CS. I think, like, for me, though, I don't know if there's a metric that shows it, maybe besides kills and assists, but he's just not as active on the map as Dr. Warlock. Like, Dr. Warlock has shown up bot a few times. He's moving around the map. He's more active with what his team's trying to accomplish. And
Yeah,
you can see
Spodawan
that.
has tried to teleport, though, but I believe all but one time he's canceled his TP. So he's
Exactly. He's just a
not
little
really
late to
like
the
he's
fight.
canceling it. He's canceling it intelligently, like, you know, that you don't need to come in during this. It's just that he's waiting too long to teleport, which is why he's had to cancel them.
Like in that last fight, if he, I can't go back in time to see the ward placement, but as I'm assuming he had somewhere to
Ward,
teleport to.
like the river brush, like the bottom side river brush for mid lane. There was a ward in there that he teleported.
Okay, so I'm assuming he had a place to teleport to, like maybe like 2 or 3 seconds too
did.
late. The teleport comes off, that fight could be totally different. You saw how much damage Twitch was putting out.
Yep. Just, I mean, not even him needing to do damage. I mean, just him having a body there and having the Mega Gnar and the ulti to keep people away from Twitch and keeping them locked down so that he can actually do more damage is just huge. Not having it there is also huge.
Gold leads up to almost 5K at this point. You got a siege situation. They got Caitlyn. It's looking pretty good.
Pretty much every penny of that gold lead is channeled onto the top and mid laner for Hopscotch Mafia.
Which is probably what you'd want. Like, those are the two guys going after that Twitch that has a lot of gold. I like that they backed off there, realized that they were going to overcommit.
I don't really see why Hopscotch Mafia are struggling so hard to siege a tower against a team composition with horrible siege defense. I mean, the only thing that they could really hope for is maybe Spodawan getting a nice ultimate off on them, but he doesn't have flash, and Meganar will be going down around the time that the next waves meet.
Yeah, I don't know. At this point, I think it's kind of just turning into an ARAM game. They need to go to another lane, maybe
Neither
get
team
the
really
lane
knows
pushing
how to
and
properly
then
play
come
this
back.
game.
Yeah, like you push bot, you have top slightly pushed. I mean, I think
Gavanicus
it's
actually
pushing
ends up
bot.
hooking Sharnos, and they do end up getting a brilliant stun from the Echo onto 3 members of Clorox Bleach, and it looks like King Crew will be going down very early on in this fight, as well as Kecker getting killed by the Caitlyn ultimate. Now, man, that was a very, very nice hook into a follow-up 3-man or a 4-man stun from I Hate Anime. Very, very well done, and you've got to
And that's
really
going to be
question
our
the
first
positioning.
Infernal going over.
Clorox
Maybe
Bleach
even
with
mid as well.
very poor positioning around this dragon, very poor ward control, and very uncharacteristic mistakes coming out of Clorox Bleach. I mean, I've cast quite a few of their games, and typically you expect their communication and their team fighting to be better than this.
Now, I don't know. They probably end up killing him, but I don't know about the chase. You probably could have got mid before the other members of Clorox Beach came back.
Oh,
Now
very
you've
nice
actually ended up getting nothing, and now you all have to back. Clorox Bleach is coming up full health. They did take the mid at least, but there is a chance for them to get the Baron if they all back.
Okay.
It's a lot of damage on the Twitch.
Okay, sorry about that. I had a few problems. I couldn't really hear you too well, but
Oh, no worries. I was saying as like Hopscotch backed off, there was a slight chance maybe they could have burned the Baron, but it's well past that point at this point. It's just because they were all coming back with full health.
that'd be very dangerous, as considering that Hopscotch Mafia have 2 teleports up, and if there's a straggling ward somewhere around there, you're just gonna die.
For sure. I mean, at this point though, we're kind of reaching the point where you might want to roll the dice.
I actually really don't know about that. I think you just try and turtle this up and extend this as long as you can and get as many items on Twitch as you can.
Yeah, never a bad idea.
Seems like so far, Clorox Bleach's attempts to go aggressive and try and get in position to do things proactively has not been going too well for them, so maybe you want to try being reactive a little bit and trying to counter-engage them. On the side of Hopscotch Mafia, you just want more of the same. You want Gavanicus to get these nice hooks and catch people out, preferably onto King Crew's Twitch. It looks like he will be going for a stealth attempt on Pneumatikrates, and Pneumatikrates is in a very bad position. He will get absolutely destroyed.
And that's big if they can get out. The roam's already coming down.
Yeah, but they may not be able to get out now. You see, they are right on top of King Crew.
A much better
TP. You see, yeah, this is a nice teleport from Spodawan. Very good ultimate from Kecker, and they're going to be able to kite back I Hate Enemy and force his ult out pretty early. And now Dr. Warlock is going in, and we see a very nice hook from Gavanicus on the King Crew's Twitch, and he will be going down. Presumably, Spodawan will die next as well. He will be getting stunned by Echo, and he will drop. So this is, yeah, this is just Gavanicus making another very, very good play, as well as a bit of an overstay from Clorox Bleach. They kind of just kept trying to fight after they managed to kite I Hate Anime back. Getting King Crew hooked and getting him killed.
It was almost a good turnaround until they locked up the Twitch, but I mean, definitely a really good TP from Scooter. It was a little faster. It wasn't as delayed as the last one, which allowed him to actually get into the fight.
Unfortunately, he still does not have any kill participation so far this game.
And he's got the wave top pushing away.
Yeah, so things are really not looking too hot for him right now. I mean, and I also kind of disagree with the fact that now he's still going for, you know, he has the Black Cleaver, now he's still going for Frozen Mallet rather than just a pure tank item. I mean, at this point, you're really, really, really far behind, and there's almost no way you're going to be able to 1v1 Dr. Warlock. So going for a pure tank item and just trying to be a bit more of a team fighting presence would probably be better.
Yeah.
So we see also Sharnos is going to be going for a Black Cleaver as well, and yeah, I gotta kind of disagree with this as well. You know, there's not a good front line for Clorox Bleach, which is also a problem that they're having. They're running against a fed Renekton, Zach obviously being probably the best frontliner in the game right now, and a
Yeah, like
Thresh
look
with
at that. Like
no realistic frontline.
2 spells and their front line is down to 45%.
He also did chunk out I Hate Anime quite hard though. So I'd say that yeah, I Hate Anime actually took quite a bit more damage than Spoder1 did.
Then they
Spoder1 does
don't
not
have
have
the
flash though, so he will
sustain.
not be able to do anything here.
The Nami's really helping getting him back up.
Yep. Feels as though I Hate Anime, I think he's going for a Banshees, I think is what those 2 recipe items that he has right now are going into. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I see Dr. Warlock actually taking a massive amount of damage from Bunaloo, as well as Spoder1. So that's a bit of an unusual amount of damage to be doing when you go for an Ardent Sensor very early on a mid laner. I completely understand the buy of that though, seeing as your entire composition is based on Twitch. It looks like Spoder1 may be able to get a very good ultimate off here, and he does. Now Twitch is going to be coming in at the back end of the fight. Zach no longer has ultimate. Renekton is down. I Hate Anime goes down, Anime goes down, and Gavanicus looks like he's going to be going down as well. Now Pneumatics will be
play.
dropping.
He knocked 4 people right
goodness,
into
yeah,
Twitch's ult.
This is more characteristic of what we've seen from Clorox Bleach in the past. Very well executed team fight is Spoder1 finally having a very nice impact on the game. He's been getting put down quite a bit so far, but that made up for a lot of it. And King Crew,
and it all went on the Twitch.
Yeah, King Crew's positioning in this fight was a lot better. He came in, in the middle of it. He let people get baited into using their ultimates, and then came in for the cleanup. So after no one was really going to be able to get onto him and kill him. So he actually, so he ended up going for the Runins into PD, which is a little bit odd. I've seen it before, but generally you see people go, like Runins into IE, and then maybe a Phantom Dancer.
Yeah.
He goes ahead and he versus the Phantom Dancer, which I don't entirely disagree with. He's going to be in melee. He's going to be getting dove by Renekton, and I Hate Anime quite a bit.
Yeah, it gives him a little more leeway to get out of things. A little bit more for fighting that 1v1 if they do get on him.
Now Dr. Warlock has himself a Gargoyle Stone Plate, which, I mean, it's okay-ish. I'd still say getting maybe an armor item, like maybe a Randuin's would be better, seeing as you're really not going to be too worried about Bunaloo's damage, and you're Renekton and you need to be doing damage during the team fights, but it looks like Spoder1's actually going to be getting caught out by Gavanicus yet again. He will go down.
Yeah, the problem is they don't have control of that side of the jungle. Their control's actually on the opposite side of the map right now.
Gavanicus actually lands another hook, but it doesn't appear as if anything will come of it. And wow, okay, so Bunaloo still does quite a bit of damage. At least in the Pneumatic Crates, that is.
The Mantra will definitely hit very, very hard.
But speaking about 80 carries, Pneumatic Crates, despite being behind King Crew, he is still he's no slouch. He's got three fully completed items on Caitlyn. So, I mean, if you just let him auto-attack, he's going to be doing quite a bit of damage after a while.
Yeah, if you can get on either or, like Caitlyn or Twitch, that can turn the fight one way or another just in itself.
So now Spoder1 is back up, but he does not, he's nowhere near being Meganar, so and not too much that he contributed to this team fight right now, but Dr. Warlock is getting absolutely crushed by King Crew. You see Rark going in kind of preemptively here. I Hate Anime will get kicked back, and it looks like Dr. Warlock will be going down as well as Rark, and they're getting very heavily counter-engaged on. It looks like I Hate Anime will pick off Bunaloo, but he will be doing nothing else. So they trade 2 for 1, and Dr. Warlock gets hit with a very nice Q from Sharnos, and he will go down as well. And it looks like maybe Gavanicus could get slowed down and killed by Sharnos and the rest of the team. There is no Wraith camp there, or Raptor camp, and it looks like Sport One may be able to chase down Gavanicus or I Hate Anime, but nope. I Hate Anime will save Gavanicus' life, but
They're turning on the Baron.
this Baron will still be going down, yeah.
And I think there's not going to be much answer.
Yeah, this is pretty much gone,
right.
so
Yeah.
I'd like to get your thoughts on what just happened in that team fight, because that was a little bit crazy.
The team fight, basically, it comes down to if they don't get to Twitch, they will lose, and they didn't get to Twitch, and Twitch burned every single one of them down. Like, that's just the name of the game at this point, and that's why having a Twitch
Prior
that
to that
far
fight
ahead is not
happening,
fun.
we saw Dr. Warlock take like more than half of his HP and damage under the tower for nothing, and then Rark with this really, really early engage. It gets kind of awkwardly followed up upon, and Rark gets killed pretty much immediately, as well as Dr. Warlock getting killed instantly. Then I Hate Anime was able to kill Bunaloo, but he didn't get to go on Twitch.
You just can't start that fight once you get chunked that hard on the Renekton.
Oh
like,
my
you just
god!
have to
Okay,
reset.
real quick, I want to note King Crew has now got his Infinity Edge. 80% crit. He's got the Bork. He's got an immense amount of attack speed, and it looks like he will probably be going for a QSS next. Yeah, so if they thought he was dealing damage before, he's definitely going to be doing a lot now.
And not a single Randuin's
Oh boy! And now Rark goes down. He doesn't flash. He doesn't ult to get away. He doesn't need to get away. Bit of a misplay there, and now it looks like Pneumaticrace will be getting absolutely destroyed by King Crew. He will manage to get away just slightly. Looks like Dr. Warlock will be going down though. Actually, Bunaloo does pick up Pneumaticrates. Dr. Warlock goes down as well, and I Hate Anime will drop also. Warlock's Bleacher turning this game around quite rapidly. Sharnos picks up a double kill.
That's gonna be inhib.
Okay, so this is this is a very rapid turnaround with Warlock's Bleach.
Yeah, when you draft a protect a Twitch comp and your Twitch is 12-4, it's usually a good sign. That's just a well played game, like a great comeback. They were.
And this is all off of that big counter engage that they found, I believe, twice during this game. So very well executed from Clorox Bleach, abusing the mistakes that were made from the side of Jamaican Hopscotch Mafia. But I will say to Hopscotch Mafia's credit that they played out the early game, or at least recovered from a very bad spot, better than I thought they would. I thought that the game was basically over the moment that Twitch got a double kill. And then they...
Yeah, that was like, I think was it like 6 minutes into the game? Like, that was almost life support right there, and they stalled it out fairly decently.
All right, but you know, the first game was kind of a complete and utter destruction, and then that one was a little bit more back and forth, so still very entertaining. And I guess that is going to be the end of it for today here in the RPL.
Who you giving the MVP to?
Oh man, that one's actually really, really difficult. Honestly, I'm gonna have to say Kecker. I think Kecker played really, really solidly during that game. King Crew played very well, but I think there were a couple of errors in there that very nearly cost his team the game in his positioning. Knowing that he's playing such a pivotal part of that team composition, I think Kecker played very solidly the whole game.
For sure. Really nice kill participation, low deaths. They always had, I don't know, he just played extremely well. Like, he was like his ults especially, like once his ult went off, like the fight was over almost every single time. He was hitting 4 members with it, stopping them from kiting.
All right, so that should conclude the day for the RPL Summer 2017 season. We'll be back next Saturday. See you guys then.
Yeah, see you guys then.